Hi, this is Mrs. Ballard. I've gotten a lot of questions on this particular problem from the assignment, so I figured I would do a little video to help you navigate this one so you can get your homework done. So first of all, make sure that your data is accurate. I've gotten a few questions about I'm not getting the right numbers. Well, it happened to be that I caught that some of the data values didn't match. So that's the very first thing to check is check your data values in Desmos so that you type in. It's very easy to read one wrong and get it wrong, okay? And remember, everybody is going to be getting different data values, so you will not be able to compare with each other. That's just the way that the program works. All right, so the next thing I've done is I've gone into Desmos, and you can see I've put my data values in, and this one happened to be I had to use X sub 1. Some of the problems are using Y sub 1. It just depends on the data, okay? So this particular problem is using X sub 1. I did do my histogram by typing histogram X sub 1, and remember the subscript is shift and the minus key, which is next to the 0, and then comma 1, okay, because that way it just makes it 1 wide. And then this is the picture that I got. I was also able to calculate the mean and the standard deviation population. That's the one I've always used. However, if the number is, you're still having trouble and you've double checked everything, you could take that off of there. And do you see how there's a change between the population and the sample deviation? So that could impact your rounding a little bit. So you can take that off and on, okay? So just, if you're not getting the answer right, try that, okay? I would still use the population. It did say in our book to use the population, okay? All right. So the next thing, and these numbers in here are not correct, so don't pay attention to the numbers. So the interval, examine the histogram, the height distribution, determine the percent data that fall within one standard deviation of the mean. Okay, so we did this calculation in our notes the other day. So I'm going to go back here to my mean, and I know my mean is 66. So I know my mean is 66. To get either side of the interval, I have to add and subtract my standard deviation. So I'm going to go 66 minus my standard deviation, which was this 1.5118. So 1.5118, okay? And then I have to go this direction, I have to add that value. Okay, so I'm gonna show you how I would do this in the calculator, and then I get it rounded completely perfect. So I'm going to subtract the standard deviation population for X sub 1. Okay, there's my answer. So 64.448. So about, in our graph here, we wouldn't be able to get beyond, it would be 64, it would be 65 and above, okay, if we rounded it to the nearest whole. And then I'm just going to simply change that to a plus sign, and now I've got the upper bound at 67.5, which in our graph is just going to be 67, because 67.5 would be not quite hit the 68. So I don't know what they're going to have you type in. If they're going to have you type in did it say a rounding of any kind? I'm looking within. I don't know if they're going to have you type in the 64.488, okay, and the 67.5118. You might have to round it. You might have to play with that a little bit. They might also just have you type in the 65 and the 67. So you're going to have to play with that a little bit in the system. I don't know, okay? So that's the system.
Here's your reminder.
Alexa, reminder off. All right, and then, so that was this part right here, okay? And then the bars that satisfy those values. So my guess is maybe they go numbers there, and then I would probably say the bars. So that would be, I mean, it's 65 and 67 would be the bars. So I'd probably try your decimals in this one, and then just do the rounded decimals there. Have heights 3, 4, and 3. So let's go back and look at that in the picture. So see how I have a height of 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. So they're talking about those bars. So that means how many data values have out of 14. So if I counted that up, I had a 3, a 4, and a 3. That adds up to 10. So 10 data values out of 14, or to the nearest percent. So I'd have to take 10 and divide it by 14. And when I did that, I got 71.4%. I don't know what they said. So I'd say 71.4. You might, I don't know how many decimals they're asking for, so you're going to have to kind of figure that out. Okay, so that's the first part of the problem. Then the second part of the problem, suppose the heights is chosen at random by examining the histogram, determine the probability that the height is one more than the standard deviation above the mean. Complete the explanation. The interval that the data that are more than one standard deviation above the mean is x greater than. This was only one standard deviation out, so you should be repeating that value. So 67.511. If that doesn't work, try the 67, okay? Or try the rounded version of it to 10th place. The bars for these values, I would say would be 67. So I think this is probably still your decimal, and that's probably the 67. Have heights 1 and 1. So the probability, okay, so if the heights are 1 and 1, so see here's the height of 1 and the height of 1. So how many did we count up? We counted up 2 out of 14. And then in decimal, 2 out of 14 I calculated was 0.142. And they were looking for which decimal is rounded to the nearest hundredth, 0.14. All right. I hope that helps, and hopefully we can get it right. Let me know if you have any further questions.